Fresh air. Yeah, that'd be nice. Outside council table. See the birds, get some sunshine.
I didn't see the issues with the minutes, did you?
Point this girl out to me.
It was just Miss Haynes' comment. I don't know if it was, which you mentioned about the stoppage of the tape. Was that here or was it commissioner's meeting? No, that was here.
She said it happened here, that she was talking about.
Okay. Yeah, she said she was going to shut her off. I don't remember her either, but I'm not that familiar with the Quran, so I couldn't. Yeah, that would have stood out. Yeah, and I said that to her that night. Yeah.
6:30 p.m., June 15, 2026. I'll call the Legislation Codes Regulations Committee to order. Clerk, would you take roll, please?
Mr. R. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Kreider?
Here.
Mr. Clark?
Yep.
We have a summary of proceedings. Has everybody had the chance to look at that?
Yes.
Anybody have any comments or?
I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything.
What's the issue?
I'll make the motion to approve. I will second.
Clerk, would you call for the vote, please?
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Kreider?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Two items, old business. The first item being Legislation 3, Rule 27. Clerk, would you read that, please?
Ordinance amending Marion Codified Ordinance, Title 3, Legislative Chapter 111, Council Section 111.04, Duties, Privileges, and Decorum of Members, 111.04G, Rule 27 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Marion.
Thank you. I see that the changes that we had suggested last committee meeting have been made. I do have one further suggestion. I want to find out how the committee feels about it. But I don't like to leave things to chance or whatever. How is the time going to be kept? I would like to see a timer. A visible timer so that we don't run into a situation where somebody says, this person got 10 seconds more than I did, or I got cut off early, or something like that. I'd like to see an official timer included in this ordinance.
I have no issues with that. I'm concerned, again, it's how much it's going to be adhered to in practice, and it becoming overly cumbersome. I'm afraid we're going to almost shoot ourselves in the foot. I have some reservations with that. However, if you're finished, I've got a couple of other items. Okay. A couple of days after our last committee meeting, our clerk, Matt, had forwarded information. I don't know if either of you read that about decorum and speaking in public and so forth.
Correct.
And I was just curious, I mean, while it didn't have so much to do with maybe Rule 27, but how much of that could be perhaps be integrated with what we're talking about, and, you know, kind of as a prelude to what we're doing to make these adjustments here. And I don't know if we could look at that and maybe have a situation where that is available to the public and so forth to have comments on. And maybe it could be, I don't know, maybe not in this particular instance with 27 here, but anything that we could help, that would help making sure that we don't have a situation where we're essentially limiting time and not content of what people are saying. And I want to make sure that that's absolutely clear, that even with limiting time, are you still limiting content or availability of content for people to speak and so forth. So that I just thought, again, we're working our way through this, and I think that perhaps that might be just something to look at before sending it through and to council. and so forth. The other last thing I'm going to say is about, is right after what we have is the ordinance here about, it says council meetings are a special combination of both designated public forums and limited public forums, yeah, and so forth. And it's intentionally opened for public disclosure, a discourse, I should say. And you have kind of like this dichotomy of, you're trying to balance everything, and again, wanting to engage in that free speech for everyone, for the betterment of our community. And I just think, I really am kind of, I don't want to say putting the brakes on, but as much information as we can get.
I agree.
To try to work our way through this, because what is available in some communities might, again, like not work so well here. So that's what I have.
Mr. Clark, do you have anything? Yeah, I agree with you. I want to make sure that this is a good document before we send it to council. Does anybody want to make a motion to purchase a timer? Do we need a motion for that?
I would recommend you not insert any amendments in this particular ordinance that have to do with facilitating a timer. My reading places the chairman of a committee or the presiding officer at a council meeting as a responsible party. I've heard discussions about the purchase of a timer. I think we should be able to rely on those officers to complete their tasks. So I would recommend you not insert any amendments into this ordinance that's establishing new codified rules regarding the timer. It has the minutes in it, and that's all you need.
Okay, but we could purchase a timer if we wanted to without it being in there. Right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yes.
Certainly.
You're going to sit here and somebody's going to come up and you look at your watch and then they get talking and you forget, and all of a sudden it's 4.5 minutes.
I think the clerk of council and the president of council are already talking about how to facilitate this if the council adopts this proposal.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not spending any money till a decision's made on this.
Okay.
Given what I said, do we want to keep this in committee one more time?
Yeah, I think we should hold this in committee till the next committee meeting and give us another 2 weeks to check out what you were talking about.
Okay.
Okay, so let's hold this till next committee meeting.
You want to go to public comments?
Oh, yeah, I forgot that last time too. Anybody from public, yes. Mr. Rollins. I forgot that last time, I apologize.
Aaron Rollins, Council at Large. I believe first week this came to legislation and codes. I had asked what problem we were trying to solve, and I believe, if I'm quoting almost directly, it was we were trying to solve the problem of the audience chirping or talking during the meeting. How does a timer or anything in this legislation address the root cause of why this is even a topic of discussion for legislation and codes?
I agree with you because I think it's trying to solve a couple of problems. Number one was the chirping from the audience, which is already a standard that shouldn't happen. I think also we want to try to limit someone trying to take over the conversation and go 5, 10, 15 minutes on and on and on. So those two things, you would have to break up their conversation into 3-minute segments.
To the law director's point, though, any rules that we put into force here are only going to be enforceable by the president or the chairman of those committees.
Right.
And literally, the following committee meeting, we had an engagement between a citizen and the law director that should have been gavelled at least twice by you as the chairman of this committee.
I agree.
So I just don't understand what we're trying to solve here. Someone help me.
Again, what I read for what was sent out a couple of days after this last committee meeting, I think has better clarification in many respects. Maybe not to 27, but in general for conduct during council meeting. I think it really did put it to more perspective. It was a lot of information, so I think that's why we need to actually take a look at that, so, okay?
Thank you.
And to your point, Mr. Rollins, I agree, if an ordinance is not enforced, it's not an ordinance, it's not a law. And that's something that we need to work on as chairpeople of committees, as president of council. We need to learn to do that. So I appreciate your comments. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I live out in the county.
I'm okay to
Okay.
speak to you.
I want to second what Mr. Rollins
I need your name and
said.
address.
Phil Townsend, 3634 Harding Highway West, 992 Jamaica. I want to second what Mr. Rollins said. If elected officials do their jobs that they're elected to do, I don't see why we even have an issue here. We have people clapping, making spontaneous comments or whatever on both sides. When the person sitting up here with the gavel, sometimes, all the time, any comments from this side always get gavelled. Things from this side of the room don't, rarely. So there's the problem. We have to have people that are doing their job equally and fairly. If you really want to have a strong town and you want people to love your city, everybody's got to be included. You can't turn your back and get mad at the people that voted for you. And as I said, if you're one of these people that were elected to represent the whole city, your job's to listen to the whole city. It gets boring, I get it. Sometimes it gets, I listen to people up here, and I'm all about free speech, but it gets old sometimes, but it goes with the job. So, you know, like turning one's back and kind of like, Mom, I mean, let's be adults here. Let's treat each other as adults. Let's treat each other with respect. And if you give respect, you get respect. If you talk down your nose to the people, or you get that vim and vigor, that spit in your speech, you're going to get it back. You're going to get it back from me for sure. I want people to work. I want elected officials to work together. I'm so sick of people arguing and nothing getting done, but arguing. We need to work together. The United States is a two-party system minimum. It's a checks and balances. Without a two-party system, we have no checks and balances. We live in a state that's got a supermajority. It's a mess. So let's work together. We've got ordinances where people can't park in their yards. I can take you all over town and show you where police are not enforcing that, but they enforce it on people they don't like. That's how do you love your city with that? You got people, I can take you around and show you pictures left and right where houses are just strewn with garbage. Nothing's ever done. I look up, who owns the land? Oh, Josh Daniels or Preston Fields or whatever, whoever. You know, we have to treat everybody equally and on the same level. I encourage that for all of us. And let's quit making ordinances that we don't need. Let's elect officials, number one, that stay in the job. Republicans right now have a hard time with getting anybody to stay in the position for the whole term. That's my problem with another issue you guys are trying to do. So let's work together.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Mr. Daniels, did you have a comment?
He said it for me.
Okay.
Same deal.
Go ahead, sir.
Ashton Seals, 1920 Victory Road, lot 164. So in just a few weeks, our nation will be celebrating the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. 250 years since a group of ordinary citizens made an extraordinary decision to challenge power, to speak openly against the government, and to declare that liberty belongs to the people, not to those who govern them. As we approach that anniversary, I think it is worth asking a simple question. What exactly are we celebrating? Are we celebrating fireworks and parades? Or are we celebrating the principles that made this nation possible? Because one of those principles is the right of citizens to stand before their government and speak freely, even when that speech is uncomfortable, critical, unpopular, or inconvenient. The First Amendment was not written to protect agreeable speech. It was written to protect dissent. It was written for the citizen who questions decisions. It was written for the resident who demands accountability. It was written for the taxpayers who ask where their money is going. And it was written for the people who stand in rooms like this one and tell elected officials something they may not want to hear. The founders understood something important. Government naturally seeks more control when liberty requires constant protection. That is why public participation matters. That is why transparency matters. And that is why free speech matters. Yet here we are, approaching America's 250th birthday, while many governments across the country, including our very own Marion City Council, continue looking for ways to limit criticism, restrict participation, or discourage public speaking. What's especially troubling is that some have pointed out that this governing body is not always legally required to allow public comment at all. Think about that. The law may not permit the law may permit a council to conduct its business without hearing from the public. The law may permit silence. But legality and democracy are not always the same thing. The question should never be what is the minimum amount of public participation we are required to allow. The question should be how much public participation can we encourage? Because government exists to serve the people, not the other way around. The American Revolution began because citizens were denied a meaningful voice in the decisions affecting their lives. Taxation without representation was more than a slogan. It was a warning about what happens when the government stops listening. Today, representation is not just casting a vote every few years. Representation means listening between elections. Representation means accepting criticism. It means undertaking that scrutiny. That scrutiny is not an attack on government. It is a sign that citizens care enough to be involved. As we prepare to celebrate 250 years of American independence, I hope this council remembers that our greatest national tradition is not obedience, silence, nor the comfort of government officials. It is participation, seeking answers from the public, and accepting that not all of them will be pleasant. It is debate in all of its forms, even in harsh words. It is the liberty of the people to govern as they see fit. The Declaration of Independence begins with the idea that government derives their just powers from the consent of the governed. Consent requires information. Information requires transparency, and transparency requires citizens who are free to speak and governments who are willing to listen. So as America approaches this historical milestone, let us honor the founders not merely with ceremonies and commemorations, but by recommitting ourselves to the principles they risked everything to defend. Let us remember that free speech is not a privilege granted by government. It is a right that belongs to the people. And when citizens speak, government should not look for ways to silence them, nor turn their backs. Government should listen. Given that we are nearing that big 250, I would like to conclude with one of the most important excerpts from the Declaration of Independence. May you think heavily on it before making your decision tonight. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it.
Thank you very much. Very well said. Very good. Please hold your applause. This is not a place that we should be applauding. If you want to applaud, wait till after the meeting's over. And I do have something I'd like to say. As far as restricting what people say and not wanting to hear people that differ, this group I know and all of City Council, we want to hear every opinion that everyone has, but we want to be able to hear everyone, not just one person that wants to take up 15, 20, 30 minutes. So, like I've said many times before, I'll sit here till midnight as long as people want to talk about the subject and talk in a civilized manner. I'll never shut anybody down for that, and I don't think any one of these people will do it either. Yeah. Ms. Craig.
Amy Craig, 365 Silver Street. You just gaveled applause from the audience there. Now, what I would like to point out is that when people are appointed to positions or resolutions that are read that you are all in support of, it's okay for us to clap then. So what's the rule? Is there no clapping whatsoever, or is it clapping when it's a subject that you guys are okay with us clapping with? And that's where you're getting into viewpoint discrimination. We agreed with what Ashton had to say, we clapped. When we agreed with, we like Bob Smith has been appointed to the Airports Commission, we clapped. But you didn't like what we clapped because what Ashton was saying. But when Bob Smith is appointed to the Airports Commission, we're all allowed to say hooray, hooray. When it's, Adopt a Puppy Month, we're all allowed to clap and say hooray, this is great. When we receive a grant from Poet, for example, we're all allowed to clap and say, thank you, Poet, we appreciate it, yay, hooray. But when I forgot your last name, Ashton, sorry. Okay, Mr. Pollock didn't forget it. But when Ashton says something that we like, we're not allowed to clap. So that's where you're getting into viewpoint discrimination, and that is really something that you need to consider. Last council meeting, I was not here, but I watched it at home. There were people that were speaking out from the audience. They weren't saying anything untoward. They weren't yelling. They weren't causing a ruckus. They were speaking out from the audience. Why are they allowed to speak out from the audience? And if someone out back here says, heck yeah, they're gabbled, but if someone else says something, they're not gabbled. So you're getting into viewpoint discrimination. Either it's all or nothing. Either this side of the room, everyone has to remain silent, be a recognized speaker, or we kind of have the little sort of informal thing here. Now, do I think we should be causing a ruckus and that sort of stuff? No. But I think some of these meetings that I've been in, the best meetings have been when we've been able to interact with each other like this. And we keep going back to, we want everyone to be able to speak. I believe that's already part of Robert's rules, if I'm not mistaken. Everyone that wants to be able to speak has to be able to speak before someone can be able to speak a second time. So maybe we just make the rules that already exist clear, so everyone knows what those rules are now. Because if this is your first time at a city council meeting, or you're out there watching from Facebook land, wouldn't you feel pretty intimidated to come up here and oh my God, I can only speak for 3 minutes. If I say something they don't like, I get gabbled. They told us they're gonna throw us out, we might get arrested. I mean, people don't want to participate when you're adding more rules. I counted, there's a whopping 10 folks in here that aren't associated with city government. I mean, is that so time consuming and overwhelming that we all don't have a chance to be heard on the topic that we want to speak on? And then, Mr. Smith, I would challenge you, I can think of one person, Luke Henry, when he was up here stumping for the building department, that has spoken longer than 15 minutes. In all of the meetings that I've attended, unless someone was here, had an invited speaker, I don't remember anyone ever speaking longer than 15 minutes. So as Mr. Rollins said, I'm not sure what problem we're trying to solve. And if I know Mr. Clark had said it's noise from the back of the room. It's the entire room then. It would have to be noise from over here, it would have to be noise from up here, it would have to be noise from back here, and there would be one recognized speaker at a time. And we could not share in any of these human emotions and moments that we have when we all giggle about license plates on bicycles, or when we all have these human moments of adopting a puppy or things like that. That all has to end, because the minute you gavel me because you don't like what I said, but you let someone else continue, we're going to have another situation where we're litigating in federal court, and this time I won't be the only one. So please, think about these things. Think about, as Mr. Rollins has said, what problem are we actually trying to solve? And will solving that problem create more problems?
Let me respond to you.
Please do.
Number one, I agree with what he said. I don't know who applauded, but I gabbled because it was disruptive. And that's the applause that we want to.
But you don't get to pick. All applause is applause. Agreed?
Well, we don't want disruption from the audience, okay, or disruption from anywhere else.
So then that means no applause, right? If that was disruptive applause, then all applause is disruptive. All laughter would be disruptive.
All I can answer for is.
So then so that would be one of my things. Who applies these rules, and will they be applied appropriately? Is Mrs. Stoneburner going to allow us to laugh about the license plate situation and you're going to gavel us? Because then we're going to have viewpoint discrimination.
Okay.
And there are other chair people too that might have a different perspective than you.
I agree.
So I went to a city planning meeting on Tuesday. Josh Daniels is the, Mr. Pollock's thinking you did. And Josh Daniels is the council president, or the committee president, commission. Josh Daniels, sitting up there from the bench, called me a troublemaker, called me all kinds of names, allowed the audience to jeer me, call me names, enjoy, holler, hoop. Mr. Pollock was here. I mean, I have the recording. It happened. So is that going to be allowed to go on at those smaller meetings? So like, how do I know if I go to a city planning meeting and people are yelling and calling me names and everything else, how do I know when I go to city council that's not acceptable behavior?
I can't answer that. I can't answer for other meetings. I can't answer for other chair people.
So do you see how the continuity, like if I go to a parks meeting and they're throwing beer cans at each other and I come up here and think that I can do that, then like where's the list of rules that I need to follow when I go to these meetings, and why aren't they consistent? Mr. Carter?
Yes. Again, give you a copy of what Matt, our council clerk, sent a couple of days after last meeting. I think that's there's a lot, but I think it gives a little bit more clarity, and I'll be glad to get that to you.
Yes, please do.
Okay.
And you know, I don't know why, but I think our emails are blocked from each other because I have not received an email from you, but I know that you sent one.
Yeah.
So that's something we can discuss also.
Yeah.
But yes, I'd be glad to read that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Mr. Daniels?
Daniels, 608 Decatur Street. Yeah, how many ordinances are you gonna have until we have an officer sitting here ready to pounce? I mean, they've already had lawsuits over that. I mean, where an officer sat there and the person was speaking like the kids, they didn't like what the attorney did, like in Surprise, Arizona. We've heard about them by now, I imagine. And the mayor sat there and ordered her not to speak, and she kept speaking anyway. And the officer sat there and arrested her and drug her out of there. And now they're facing a lawsuit, which of course the mayor is also part of that. I want everybody to just remember, though, that there are certain countries that don't have freedom of speech, like England, for example. They say they do, but they don't. They say they have a constitution, but they don't. They have a constitution for their royals, not for everybody else. They are arresting people for what they say online and throwing them in jail. And they threaten to do it to us. But I'd love to see them try. To actually come over here to the United States and try to arrest us. I'd love to see that try. It would teach them what they did in 1776. But I just want people to remember that we do have such a thing as freedom of speech, and we shouldn't have so many. I mean, we keep having these, and eventually we're going to have that officer sitting there in that seat beside us, waiting for somebody to speak out of turn.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, I
Philip Townsend, 3634 Harding Highway West. I was just sitting there trying to listen to what he was saying, and there was so much noise going on over here that I couldn't hardly hear it. I never once saw you look over that way. I never once saw you look that way. I make this, and you're immediately on me. I clap after the man speaking, and you're immediately on me. It's just the perception. I'm just bringing it to your, that's my point. That's what I've said before.
Okay.
I invite you all to watch the films of these. It's very easy. It's not rocket science. It's very easy to see the bias. Very easy. Just watch it. I'm all about the good things getting clapped for. I don't care that she doesn't gavel them. I care that we're getting gavelled and they're not. That's the problem. And I know you get it. You're a smart guy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, we'll move on to the item number 2. Old business number 2 is ordinance governing e-bikes, scooters, and other small vehicles. Clerk, would you read, please?
Ordinance amending Chapter 301 and 373 of the codified ordinances of the City of Marion to establish definitions and operational regulations for electric bicycles, toy vehicles, low-speed, micro-mobility, and other devices.
Has the committee had a chance to look this over?
Yeah, I have, and it's very cumbersome.
I agree.
My point here is, we were expecting the mayor to come back and give us a report from his mayor's conference,
Right.
because they were supposed to discuss this situation with other cities, and I would like to wait and hear from the mayor and find out what other cities are doing, make sure we're doing the right thing. I don't want to, suck the joy out of anybody's life because, we tell them they can't ride their bike. And it's just, and to me, this ordinance is all about safety, nothing else. I mean, I've seen little kids, I don't know, I wouldn't call them toddlers, but little kids riding motorized vehicles on the street. Today, down Indiana Avenue, there was a guy driving a golf cart. There was no license plate on the golf cart, and it's my understanding that that is not legal, that you have to, your vehicle has to be licensed. So there's a whole big problem here that we're getting into. So I'd like to wait and hear what the mayor has to say before we move forward with anything.
I agree.
I concur with Councilman Clark. Again, I touched upon a couple of things last time. Once again, was the definition of the classes. To know what you have when you purchase it, but mainly it's the enforceability. I mean, with what Councilman Clark said about the age limit restrictions, especially, if you're 18 and over and so forth, and what the communication that needs to be put in place really prior, or just reminded of, or having, and we talked briefly about working with perhaps the schools and so forth about getting that. It seems like we could put these into place, and it's almost like having the cart before the horse, because it's just like, if you don't have a kind of a build-up and so forth of how it's going to be enforced and the education that's needed, I just think again, we can just start with having the mayor do a report to see what, if there's any other suggestions perhaps that he can shed light to, so.
Yeah. I agree, and I did see the New Albany ordinance, city ordinance,
Yeah.
which I thought was very good and very clear. And I know that probably everyone in this room has had an instance of somebody on an e-bike or a scooter or something that's darted across in front of them, or run a stop sign in front of them, or cut you off or whatever. We've all had it too, and so I agree, it's a safety issue. We need to address it, and those people that are committing those safety violations are not going to like it. So we're going to have the issue. But what we want to do as a committee is to make sure that the ordinance that we send to council is clear and enforceable. If it's not enforceable, it's worthless. So, do we have any comments from? Yes, Mr. Dickel.
Bill Dickel, 6th Ward City Council. I want to agree with you guys. I've read through this. I don't know a horsepower from I don't know anything about engines. I don't think this is enforceable, because the policeman on duty is going to have to know what horsepower was that, how many volts is that, it's unenforceable. Can we, I don't want to disrupt the kids from having fun, but as I was leaving my driveway the other day, just like you said, a kid came from Bordeaux, he was on a mini motorcycle, didn't stop at the stop sign, went down Marseille, went over the tree lawn of the Richland Road Church there, through the parking lot and across 598 without stopping once or looking where he was going. somebody's gonna get killed. So we've gotta do something, but I think we need to really simplify this. Couldn't it just be a law that no one under 15 years old can operate a motor vehicle of any type on city streets? I mean, couldn't it just be that? I don't know. No offense to the law director who's put in a lot of time on this, but I couldn't vote for it the way it is right now because it's just, to me, it's too cumbersome and too unenforceable. And I apologize, I'll be leaving in a minute to attend to a personal matter, but I thought this was important enough to come tonight and say this. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Rainbow Conway, 400 Delaware Avenue. I believe it's already written, if it's 50 cc's or more, it has to be licensed. You might want to check into that, but I'm pretty sure that's the way the statute is written. So 49 cc could actually get by with it, but anything over 50 cc, that mandates that you have to have a license for it. Maybe the chief can answer that.
Doesn't mean that's the elected.
Is that true, chief? Or anything?
Or the law director, you know?
Anything over?
So you're not incorrect, but the problem that exists today is the very different types of powered machines
I agree.
and the technology. So if there's a combustion engine, yeah, those old laws work well. But the new electronic devices that can charge overnight, still carry a person 40 miles an hour, we need these kind of varied sections to be refined
Right.
so that we can address the device the person is riding. So it's all driven by the device and location of the operation of the device.
The electric engine is still classified as the CC, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, electric motor.
Yeah, electric motor, this place is 48 cc's.
So it was just referenced, they typically have it equate to brake horsepower or horsepower.
There you go.
So they still use that type of measurement.
I understand.
So
I'm just letting you
it'll
comment
factor
on it.
in, but.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, back here.
Sue Kelly, 365 East Farming. Yes, I'm glad you're doing something, and I want to see something done, because 2 weeks ago, on my way home from church, going north on Greenwood at the jog at Church Street, I had stopped to the light turned green for me, and I started to go, and my wife hollered. I nearly hit somebody on an e-bike or whatever it was they were on, and they were running the red light. So we really need to take care of this.
We hope we can. We hope we can do it.
Thank you.
Yes. Do you have a comment?
I was gonna say, if you'd allow me to, just to read from what we've got, class 1, class 2, class 3, real quick, okay? I'm gonna read from what the different classes were, because of what has been brought up about the power. Class 1, electric bicycle means a bicycle that is equipped with fully operable pedals and an electric motor of less than 750 watts that provides assistance only when the rider is pedaling and ceases to provide assistance when the bicycle reaches the speed of 20 miles per hour. Class 2. Class 2 electric bicycle means a bicycle that is equipped with fully operational pedals and electric motor of less than 750 watts may provide assistance regardless whether the rider is pedaling and is not capable of providing assistance when the bicycle reaches the speed of 20 miles per hour. You see, it's so close, hard to take the differentiation. Class 3, electric bicycle means a bicycle that is equipped with fully operable pedals and electric motor of less than 750 watts that provides assistance only when the rider is pedaling and ceases to provide assistance when the bicycle reaches the speed of 28 miles per hour. That differentiation, what are you getting when you buy it? I mean, it's just, there's just a lot to yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Philip Townsend, 3634 Harding Highway West, 919 Jamaica. Am I correct in that before you even brought this first ordinance, this discussion came up, and I remember you getting up and having discussions, the chief, and you said that you didn't have the manpower to enforce this anyways. You were talking about the impoundment of these vehicles, and you weren't going to do that. I'm not coming at you, I'm asking you for verification. You were saying that you didn't have the manpower to do that. You're saying you're down 8 people, got all kinds of other things going on. And so if we write an ordinance, and it's already been said, it's not, if you don't enforce it, it's a waste of time. So I thought the chief said that he doesn't even have the manpower, or he's not going to order his men to take the calls. I mean, so clarification.
Yes. I want no part of issuing licenses or impounding vehicles, because and it wasn't impounding, it was seizing. Those are two different things. We already enforce laws against these things now. We give people tickets for driving with no license if they're 13 years old.
Okay.
But it is a difficult thing for us to enforce. People call and say, it's driving up Jamaica Drive. By the time I drive to Jamaica Drive, those kids are not on Jamaica Drive. They're 3 streets over. However, that doesn't mean we don't enforce these laws. We are short manpower, but that doesn't mean we don't enforce laws. There's lots of laws that we enforce with 52 cops, 60 cops, 65 cops, which is where we should be in the mid-60s. So I'm not saying, I think we need some refinement of the law. There are things that are not covered under current statutes. Some of the things that we've complained about, though, are already against the law. A bike going through a red light is a red light violation, just the same as it would be with a car. But there are things that the neighbors, the people in the community, call the police about. It's violent or it's disruptive to them because it's loud, and that's what they're calling about. But it is a difficult. It's like people call it about speeding down any street in the city. If there's not an officer there, it's hard for us to enforce it. But that doesn't mean we don't enforce speed. We do every single day. We enforce this. I go out in my uniform in a police car, and then I spent some time up in Fair Park and talked to a whole gaggle of kids who have it. Gave them warnings. Some of the neighbors were mad. I didn't tow their motorbikes. At least one mom was mad that I was harassing kids who who were just having fun. So it's viewed by different ways by different people. But we will enforce the laws when they are when they're observed. But that also, enforcing the law, just like with a traffic stop, doesn't necessarily mean a ticket, doesn't necessarily mean a tow bill. Officers have wide discretion to use their judgment on how best to impact behavior, and that's what we do with traffic stops and this kind of stuff. And so when we were talking about giving wide latitude and education, we will certainly do our best to try to contribute to that. The city's efforts to inform people of any new ordinance that you put forward. But it's just like if you put a new stop sign up. We give some leeway before we start writing tickets on a new stop sign. That's how it works, and this will be the same. The issue is that you have citizens who are very concerned about safety violations committed by young people on dangerous vehicles. And we try to address that now, but there are some situations that are not addressed in the current law. Is that a good summation?
Absolutely.
So it's safe to say, though, that it's not, you have priorities when the ambulances and the EMTs are running all over town because there's bad dope, or there's violence going on here and there, or, drunk drivers. It's going to be probably the lowest priority when you get a call about anything about an e-bike or anything like that. And I understand that.
Yeah. So we always prioritize.
Look, here's what I'd say to you is, you said that if your guys see it, they're going to address it. If they see it happening, no disrespect, that's not true. I've watched it personally. I've watched them come driving down on State Street, right down in the middle of traffic. He didn't see the cop sitting there in traffic. The cop saw him. I saw the cop. I was right next to him. Never did a thing. I've seen the State Highway Patrol do the same thing.
That very well could be true, but that officer could be on the way to something else, right? So there's always judgment calls that are made every single time we see something. It's like your earlier point about
Parking in
the yards. Some people call the police. And then we go. And then we say, hey, you can't park in the yard. Sometimes they don't call the police and we are going to domestics and assaults and disturbances, and we don't stop and do that. All of our actions are prioritized.
Okay.
And sometimes they just don't see it. You might see it. I drive around in an unmarked police car. I see a lot of traffic.
I'm just saying.
I did a police car. They don't do it right in front of me.
I looked over at him, I'm like,
Yeah.
and he slowly drove away. He wasn't going to another call.
Yeah.
He, what got me originally involved in all of this is I bought a house in Fair Park, and I had a property line issue, and I tried to go to your building department, and your Malcolm Smith was best friends with Mike Sad, and I couldn't get things done. Then he was parking in the front yard, and I was told that the police or the code enforcement officer, Zach Himmler now, had to see it personally. Couldn't take a video, none of that. So I have it on video. I called him up, said, come view this. He came and viewed it. I've got him on video, looking at it, taking a picture of it. Nothing was done. This is why people are getting tired of this crap. This is why people are tired of the double talk.
Let me redirect you back to the e-bike issue.
It's the same thing though. It's about enforcement. We've got tons of ordinances on the books. Dogs run constantly in my neighborhoods and eat up cats and other people's animals and this and that, and you won't do nothing. There's ordinances on the book, and we're bringing up ordinances that, for all intents and purposes, it's not going to be enforced, and it was said it's not going to be enforced in the first place. What a waste of time.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Craig?
No, you're right, and I'll get them.
I'm Craig, 365 Silver Street. I just want to play the yin to Bill Zhang and say that I know that the police department gave a minor a ticket the other day for riding a motorized vehicle. I think it was a dirt bike, but this kid's been given lots and lots of warnings, but his parents were madder than fire, but they deserve to be, because I'm pretty sure I know of at least a half dozen times he's been warned. And this wasn't in the hood, this was in the good area of town, so I can't say that they're disproportionately targeting us. They seem to be out enforcing these rules. So I'm giving a shout out to the police department.
Thank you.
The building definitely burned down.
Yes, sir, you had...
Yeah, I got something to say. May I say here, Randy Conley again on 400 Delaware Avenue. I've seen cops actually fly through town, go by McDonald's, go over with their lights on and pull in Subway for lunch. Now, why in the world would someone be running with lights on to go to lunch? I've witnessed it, I'm cheap as the truth, I'm not lying. But these other things with these bicycles, who's going to protect them? You know what I mean? The kids are doing wrong, that you can't not protect them, but at the same time, you got to do something. Do you go home and ticket their parents? Is that the way to do it? Maybe if you take some money from their parents, this stuff will do. But when I was talking about the cops, when you talk to them to get them to do something, and you and I's friends, I'm being very easy, something's got to be done, but you can't report it because you don't get anything done. And if you call them and say, hey, this young kid's doing this or that, you know, and I agree, a lot of times when they get out there, they're gone, but a lot of times they're not, and you'll never see a cop come by. And at the same time, I know there is always more important stuff in our city. I'm very happy with the police force 98% of the time. But that 2%, a lot of times it could be done better.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, Mr. Daniels?
Howdy, Daniel, 608 Decatur Street. Well, whatever the cops are supposedly not doing, there has been a marked decrease of motorcycles on my street anyway. They used to, 4 of them used to come by about 3 times a day. They don't do that anymore. For some reason, that's dropped off. There was one motorcycle, one that one kid was on it, and before he got to my street, sat there and veered and took off another way. That's the only one we saw, and that was yesterday. The rest of them used to be the same group of kids, and they're not doing it anymore, so maybe it had to do with the one that got the ticket.
Could be.
That was on Facebook. Another thing that I've noticed is that when we were under the last administration, I was lucky to sit there and see a police car on my street maybe once every 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks, something like that. Now we get to see them at least every other day. Of course, they showed up twice today, but usually when that happens, they're probably looking for somebody. For some strange reason, the sheriff's department's on my street. I don't know why. So there's been marked improvement, I have to say.
Great. Thank you.
But I don't plan on calling you guys for the squatter situation anymore anyway, so that's just, have better things to do than that.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments?
I'd just like to let the chief know, one area you might want to watch is Marion Cemetery. They're in there all the time. There's a whole group, about 20, and they don't stick to the roads. They go right over the graves.
Do you have a time?
It's usually in the early afternoon.
Okay, wishes of the committee on this ordinance. I personally would like to hang on to this.
Oh, yes.
And let's see if we can get some refinement
Yeah, needs a lot of work.
Yes,
and go from there. So we'll hold this.
yes.
Any other comments? If not, we'll move on to the new business. Item 2 on the new business, or item 3, is liquor permit name changes. We have a request for a name change on the liquor permit. Brickyard on Main LLC, Brickyard on Main and Courtyard. And I think they're wanting to change to Bucci's Italian Scratch Kitchen. Is that, no?
They're two separate ones.
Two separate ones.
My understanding is that the permit was issued to the business for, there's 2 permits. The business is Brickyard on Main LLC. One was issued to Brickyard on Main and Courtyard. The other one was issued to Bucci's Italian Scratch Kitchen. And there was another individual who was a partial owner in the Brickyard LLC, and they are no longer there. So Mr. Sheridan is requesting that the state list him as the sole owner
Gotcha.
of the permits, with 100% of the shares being held by him.
Okay, I see that here now, yeah. Does anyone have, administration have any comments, one way or the other?
We know no reason to object.
Yeah. Anybody from the audience have any comments as far as the name change? If not, I recommend we take no action. Do you have?
I was gonna say, should we do that one at a time then?
You can go by them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll second that.
Mr. Arsman?
Yes.
Mr. Kreider?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
That concludes all the new business. We're into matters not on the agenda. Does anyone have anything as far as matters not on the agenda? Mr. Daniels?
Lonnie Daniel, 608 Cater Street. I'm going to apologize in advance if it doesn't quite fit in, but I'll be brief. There's been a lot of talk about the trash issue, about the recyclables issue, and basically, I've got to say this because I got to go after this, but anyway, there's been talk about having Rumpke take over the recyclables. If that happens, if that should happen, it's like, some people say that they need 50% participation before they'll operate. Mayor Collins said supposedly there's like 30%. I think it's less because on my street, The only person that's putting his blue bins out is, you guessed it, me. There's 28 houses on my street, if you want to include the other side. And to my knowledge, and I'll be sure about this, look at it tomorrow when my trash day comes in, to sit there, I think I'm the only person on that entire street that actually contributes. And I'm gonna tell you this much, if it turns out that Rumpke sits there and takes up the recyclables, I'm going to ask to opt out. I will take my bins and take them to the city garage or to the township, because we already pay the DKMM for that service. And Rumpke likes to do what Rumpke does. They'll sit there and say it's low or $5 or whatever, but they'll jack those prices up because every transfer station they've taken over, including Marion, by the way, now charges $95 for the first item. They did that 8 years ago. I have no idea what it is now. But they did it to Delaware, they've done it to every place that they've taken over, except for the dump up there in Crawford County, and for a transfer station over in Morrow County. And if it turns into that, I'll just take it to the, over to the city garage and dump my recyclables there and save myself the money, because I'm not dealing with Rumpke. That's it.
Anyone else? Ms. Craig? Oh, wait a minute.
I can address
Oh, yes, go ahead.
issue. The situation with Rumpke would be up to them. It's not something the city is going to implement, having Rumpke come in and do that on our behalf. They would have to decide if it's profitable for them, and they would get enough participation to make it profitable for them to come in and do it. We would have no part of that. We wouldn't do the billing, we wouldn't do any of it. That would be completely up to them.
So there won't be, because I want to remind you that it's like, right now, we have an ordinance that whether that you're responsible for the sanitation services, regardless of whether you use them or not. And I think that was written in many years ago.
And that's a complete, sanitation and
So-
recycling are two different things.
Okay, so that means that you won't have anything to do with Rumpke should they be coming.
That's correct.
All right, well, that's good enough for me.
Somebody else had it.
Yeah, ma'am.
Ms. Craig?
Naomi Craig, 365 Silver Street. Since we're talking about recycling, is there any way that we can get more than one spot in Marion for the city to recycle? I go to Ridgedale, I recycle a lot of bottles for laundry detergent, and I've been to River Valley, and I understand the dumping issue, I really do. But no weekend hours?
There is some consideration of maybe putting another drop-off point at Sims Brothers.
Okay,
They reached out to DKMM.
that'd be great.
And there's-
Cameras, because I'm sure they have cameras and it would all be.
Yeah, I don't know, but they asked us if we would take care of any trash that got dumped there, so
I hear community service written all over that. And then, okay, so while I've got my list of requests out for recycling, can we maybe work on a styrofoam recycling container? Because the closest one is in Mount Vernon. So I love to recycle and it breaks my heart to throw styrofoam away. So maybe we can work that into
I
our,
didn't know that was
yeah, we
an
can't,
item that we
Yeah, we
didn't
can't
recycle.
recycle styrofoam, so it has to be.
That'd probably be up to DKMM.
Well, work your magic, please, Mr. Cal. Get that second spot, and I think that would make a lot of people happy, because, you know, like the train tracks and all of that stuff, it's an issue for people. They don't, coming all the way down Center Street, I'm telling people how to get, you know, avoid Center Street. I'm like, come down Fairground, go up later, and, you know, just giving them alternate, and they think of the train situation, they don't want anything to do with that. So if we could eliminate it for that side of town, and maybe do something for them to, I think it would be productive.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Philip Townsend, 3634 Harding Road, West 992, Jamaica. It was brought to my attention today that the city offers a dumpster service. I mean, do we offer a dumpster service that you can get a dumpster dropped off at your house and pay $50 a dump load, no matter how long it sits at your property? And I guess there's city employees that are availing themselves of this. I'd like to know what the rest of us could get in on this.
I can address that.
Yes, go ahead.
For a little over 3 years now, We have offered a dumpster to be set at a house for somebody to clean up a blighted property or a problem property. There's never been an official policy written down. I'm working on that right now because I think there is some inherent problems with, or not problems, but I think issues the way it's being done. We've offered it to anybody that's asked. It's not preferential treatment. But I think we do need to have an official guideline in place that establishes some rules for how this program is.
Where was this information located for the?
There isn't any.
So no
They started
citizen for
it,
years could ever know about it?
right, yeah, that's pretty
Who
much.
implemented it?
I'm sorry?
Who implemented it?
If you let me finish, I'll get to that.
Okay, thank you.
Dan Ice, my compliance officer, and Greg Mays were looking for a solution to a problem 3.5 years ago, and this is what they came up with, was dropping a dumpster off for someone and charging them $50 every time we dumped it. Do we need to upgrade that? Maybe look at changing the price and establishing some guidelines? Absolutely. So that's what I'm working on right now.
There's another part to the question. Who implemented it? Was that Mr. Bodine that was a part of that?
3.5 years ago would have probably been before Mr. Bodine's time,
When did Mr. Bodine come in?
when Bill took office.
How many years ago was that?
2025,
2025? Okay.
24, I'm sorry.
Oh, 2024, so about 3 years, because we went from originally 3 years to 3.5 years if it was implemented.
My
And that was on the
investigation,
video too.
that's fine. What I've dug into since this was brought to my attention on Friday was they told me 3.5,
I'm not
approximately,
against you, Mr. Cowell, I know you inherited
approximately
this.
3.5 years.
I know you inherited this, so I'm not against you. But it seems pretty foul, to be honest with you, that this has gone on for 3.5 years now, you're telling me. Sounds illegal. I mean, if city employees are using it, and they knew, but we didn't know about it to use it. That's lying by omission is still lying. I mean, how do we have trust in our city officials? How do we have trust and want to vote for people and get you back in office? How do you keep saying to us, trust us, we know what you're doing, love your city. You're $9 million in debt. County's $4 million in debt. You got racks all over buses and stuff. We got love your city everywhere, but
I think Mr. Cowell has answered your question, that
I
he's
agree.
going to do that.
That's fine.
I'm not sure how this
This
applies to
is, that is
somebody
not on
in
the
the county.
agenda. That is not on the agenda, and
Right, but-
I'm continuing. We're asking,
I just want to get to the point that I'm not sure how this affects you.
how it affects me, I have a house 992 Jamaica,
Okay.
so I live in the
There you
city. And I've said that every time I've come up
go.
here.
You live in Jamaica now?
Actually, I've been living to it, and I'm getting ready to change my address,
Oh,
because I'm
okay.
getting ready to run for office.
Okay,
Okay.
I thought you were from the county.
I just said 3634 Harding Highway West. Every time I've come up here, I also give 992 Jamaica.
And that's, okay.
Is another property, it was an investment
Okay.
property that I bought,
If you
that I've been
want-
staying on, because I've had personal issues with my home back in the county, so if we want to go into all this, we can, I don't
No,
care.
I don't
My book,
want to.
I'm an open book. That's what I want from my public officials.
Hold on.
That's what I want from my
Hold on,
council
please.
people.
Please,
Point of
hold
order,
on.
point of
Yes,
order.
point of order.
All the questions about the dumpster, although we're willing to talk about it here, it needs to be addressed towards Streets and Sewers Committee, not the current committee that's sitting
Then
here.
you should have brought this up at the very beginning.
Well,
So I guess this is
you know,
why you need 4 years to get your act together and know the parliamentary rules, because you could have stopped me at the very beginning, and I wouldn't have wasted your time or mine.
Okay, well,
And I would have waited
we're
until
stopping you
then.
now,
But
please.
again, it's about competence in the
Sir.
people that we elect.
Please,
Thank you.
thank you. Any other comments? If not, meeting's adjourned,
Hang on just for a second.
7:33 PM.
I couldn't get my button on fast enough. Okay, here. May I speak?
Mr. Conley?
Yes, my name is Randall Conlon, 400 Delaware Avenue. 2 months ago, I was severely attacked by a worker there at the towers. I was pulled off my scooter. What had happened was I had just taken my little parakeet out that was getting ready to spray my apartment. That I'd seen Dean's Pest Control in there that morning, so I called Dean's to see if I could get on the list. And they said yes. Because I'm outside with my little bird, and I had some other people live there by me. A young lady named Cheryl who works in the office, and her maintenance man came up and asked what I was doing. And I said I was getting ready to have my place sprayed. They're already in. They said, oh, we're going in. I said, no, you're not. You have to give me a 24-hour notice before you or any management enters my apartment. The maintenance manager said, no, we're not. Use this key, unlock. I start to use my other button, the door block. The lady ripped my arm and I fell off the chair. We went to try to make a police report. A young man named Walker came out. He made me go downstairs and talk by the basement. I got thank God I got the exact copy of what was said. Told him what was going on. He kept saying it's civil, it's civil, it's civil, it's civil, it's civil, it's civil, it's civil. Finally, he said, well, I'll get back with you. So he was off for a couple days on his days off and stuff. I left a message. He comes back and gets me. And I said, well, come up. I'll let you meet the people. Now, they wrote out papers of what took place. And I believe I gave one to you at your office, if I'm not mistaken, over this, Chief. No one ever questioned them. The Officer Walker comes back and says, no, that didn't happen. I've got video, not only his video 2 times. Unfortunately anymore, I take the cops. I do it, and I'm proud of it. Everything that he's saying, you can tell my video didn't happen. But at the same time, they went and this place had done nothing but pick to try to get me out. The only thing I wanted was done what's right. These people broke into my apartment, used their key, physically pulled me off my buggy to the floor, a handicapped, senior citizen. Nothing could be done. Nothing was done. Everyone complained on it. We wrote papers on it. Nothing. When you call the police department, they said, oh, this is Mr. Walker's case, you need to talk to him, wait till he gets back. He's a lying jerk, and I'm saying that very politely. But there is enough stuff with video evidence that this man, Chief, should be reprimanded to the fullest extent, and I seriously, and if you want to see it, I'll show it to you. I have no problem. I'm an open book, like that man said. But Officer Walker needs to be removed. One, he did not do anything legal, but he just flat lied. And then the report that he gave that I went down, I had to pay $60 to get my video from his camera, even though I had one that I wanted to see if it was doctored. And the lady there gave to us, said, no, you got the full one, so you can see everything I said. When this guy was looking at my video, he held it up like this. And I'm like, what are you doing? Don't delete it, don't delete that, don't delete that. And he is sitting there trying to delete my phone. My video will show it. And I've got the video on this phone, if you guys want to see it, what took place. But the guy with the evidence, if he is on the Marion City Police Department, he's not worth crap. And I'll tell that, Chief, I'm not making you mad. You and I spoke about that, correct?
We've had a conversation about this,
Thank you. Well, it needs to be addressed because now, since I brought it up, the Marion Towers are trying every which way to get rid of us. And when everything they charged me for, I've been knocking it down. Only thing I want to do is live in harmony. I get along with people. I'm a hillbilly, but I'm a good person. But this stuff, when I talk to you guys, you have my phone numbers there, and I truly believe I would ask you to get a hold of me. That way we can go off, and I'm sure the chief will meet with us. He has nothing to hide, but you need to direct this guy, get him off from your force. Thank you.
Let me apologize to you. I didn't see you because you were behind the podium.
Okay. I understand.
And so if I'd seen you, I'd have called you.
That's
So, thank you.
Well, I greatly appreciate your guys' time. It's just, injustice is something that everybody puts up with, but we don't need to. And when you can pinpoint it, and there's a bad egg, remove that bad egg, because we have some excellent people on the Marion City Police Department, excellent people that I would go to battle with at a heartbeat. But unfortunately, in any organization, you have some bad eggs, if you want to call it. Officer Walker is a bad egg. I have video proof, 100%. Maybe you guys need to follow up on this. I'll show you all the evidence I've got. If he's on the, by Friday, if he's not off from the police force, then we've done another injustice. Thank you very much for your time. Bless you all. Thank you, Chief. Have a great day.
Now, do I need to close the meeting again?
Sorry about that.
Any other comments? Meeting adjourned, 7:39. Try it second time.
I need a cigarette.
Not in here.
Not in here.
You'd never know. I got my canvas out. Spray.
Should sniff that out in a minute.
Oh, I need to quit. My cigarettes are up to $75. I don't know how my brother does it. He's still paying like over $100 a carton for Marlboro. Crazy.
I think we need one more. Oh, he's got one? Okay.
I didn't even mean to cut you short on
No,
that.
I'm glad you did.
And it's not our committee.
And I thought about that when he first came out. And I thought, well, I'll give him a chance to.
Yeah. Okay.
I like to have everybody be able to speak their.
I know. Let's. Okay. So what is this for? Do you know what this is for?
What's that? Oh, this is just a report here. Let me see.
For what?
Revenue.
Is this total city budget? What?
No, this is not total city budget. I think this is the total city budget here.
Yeah, I've got that.
So I'm not sure.
I just don't know what this
is for.
pertains to.
I'm sure that we'll find
Okay.
out shortly.
Yeah, it's linked to the building department.
Okay.
Building code.
Thank you.
All right, it is 7:42. We'll call Finance Committee to order. Clerk, could you please take roll?
Mr. Rollins? Present. Mr. Archibald?
Present.
Mr. Clark?
Present.
All right, first order of business is minutes from, looks like May 18th of '26. Hopefully you guys had a chance to review this.
No, I don't have a May 18th.
No, I went through them online.
June 1st, sorry.
June 1st.
I didn't see anything.
I didn't see anything. I'll make a motion, we accept.
I'll second.
Clerk, could you please take roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Archibald?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
All right. First item of discussion is our audits. Any updates on where we stand with current audits and where we stand with the reconciliation process?
Okay, we're on 2022 audit is almost coming to an end. Hopefully by next week, we'll have that completely finished, and then we're able to send it to our CPA firm, and then it comes back to us, and then we send it on the state Hinkle system, or I think that's what it's called. That's where we are on that.
Do we have any idea of an end date?
For 22?
For 22, when it should all be done?
Yeah, 22 should be done by next week
Next week?
and submitted to our regular audit by the
Okay.
CPA firm and then to the state.
And reconciliation for 2022, 2023, 2024, any progress there?
We're moving on to 23 right after that. And what I'm hearing is because Veritas has already done one round, it will be a lot easier, hopefully. That's, once you dig into it, you find out, I guess. But that's the plan. We're jumping into 23. And 24 might take a little longer because nobody has looked at it yet. And then 25, of course. So, no time limits on those, but 23 probably about the same time as 22.
Okay.
Or less, maybe.
Well, I would hope less, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we had some medical issues.
Correct.
Those are in the rear view.
Right,
And
and the man has already looked into the system, he knows where the bugs are or what it is, and so.
Okay. Yeah, because I think, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, we were supposed to be done with all of these by the end of June, based on the original timeline.
All.
Right.
All of them,
All of them.
yeah. Okay. Questions on that from committee?
I have none.
Any questions on that from citizens?
Maybe Craig, 365 Silver Street. I just want to make sure I understand that the 2022 reconciliations are almost done, and then we'll be able to pass that off to Veritas for,
Not Veritas.
not to Veritas?
Audit firm.
Clark
Schaefer.
Clark,
Okay.
yeah, Clark.
Okay, I heard Veritas, that's why I was confused. Okay, so Clark Schaefer, okay, but so the 2022 reconciliations are not quite finished yet, though?
It's almost there, 95%.
Okay, all right. But, well, I mean, that's something, but, I mean, I was looking at the contract the other day, it was supposed to be like 3 months to do
Mhm.
a year's worth of work or something like that. So, okay, but I guess something better than nothing. Yes.
All right. And then any update on the path as submitted to the state? Have we gotten any updates from the state? No updates as of
We
today?
have not gotten any updates as of today.
Okay. Any questions from committee on that?
No.
No.
All right, none. I will move on to penalties and appeals, item number 2. Just a real quick general question, any additional notifications from the IRS or others regarding penalties?
None.
None? Questions from committee?
No.
Questions from citizens? Seeing none, we'll move on to new business. We have a few items tonight. Clerk, item number 3 is a donation for the rec center. Could you please read?
Ordinance authorizing the auditor to accept a grant donations from Poet Bioprocessing Community Grant to provide scholarships for the YMCA Rec Center for fiscal year 2026.
Yeah, so just as the title says, this is a $3,000 grant from Poet Bioprocessing to go towards scholarships for the YMCA Rec Center. For obvious reasons, I will be abstaining from this vote, so I will turn it over to you guys.
Got any comments from anybody?
Maybe we Craig, 365 Silver Street. To Poet for doing this for the youth.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Applause accepted.
I'll make a motion that we send this to council with a apparently 2-0 recommendation to approve.
I second.
Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Abstain?
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 4, Nature Works Grant. Clerk, could you please read?
An ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to apply for and administer the Nature Works Grant through the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, ODNR, and declaring an emergency.
All right, this comes to us from Zoe. Zoe, anything you'd like to add on this one?
This is a grant through ODNR that we have been awarded in the past. It does allocate money and it was released late this year, so that's why it says pending allocation on the ordinance. We did find out our allocation out on Friday, so the day after this went out. It's just under $36,000, and so we were waiting to see how much we were allocated before we picked a project, but we think we're gonna go with the new playground at Rotary Park. We know that has been a huge thing in our community. That one we won't be using in-kind labor, though. We will have to use funds from the capital equipment.
Okay. And there is a 25% match
Yes.
associated with these funds?
Yes.
So we're looking at what, about 9,000 then?
It really just depends how much the playground would be. It'll probably end up being more than the 25%, but me and Rob and Chelsea obviously have looked into it pretty closely and,
Sounds good.
yeah.
Any other questions from committee?
Make a motion, we send this on to council with a 3-0 recommendation to approve.
I'll second.
Right, I've got a first and a second to send this on to council. I'll take any comments from citizens prior to that. Seeing none, clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Arsenault?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Rollins.
Yes.
Mr. Arsenault?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
I was thinking you were abstaining again. I'm like,
No, I don't have to on that one, I can. All right, moving on to item number 5 for tonight. This is the COPS grant, COPS grant. Clerk, could you please read?
An ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to apply for and administer the Community-Oriented Policing Services, COPS Hiring Program Grant through the U.S. Department of Justice and declaring an emergency.
Yeah, this also comes to us from Zoe. So Zoe, any information on this one?
This one's very similar to the firefighter one we had the last 2 weeks. We can hire cops with this one. It's for 3 years, just like the last one. This one is 25% match for the 3 years, but there is a waiver we can apply for hopefully a 0% match. This one does have a retention period of 1 year after the program.
Are there any stipulations for community-oriented policing? I mean, or is it pretty much just if you participate in any type of community-oriented activities?
So I started really working on the grant today with John Schaefer. You have to pick kind of like an area that you're going to. They give a bunch of options. They're going to meet and let me know, but they've been awarded this one before. I think it'll be good. It's nothing like crazy or anything like that, if that makes sense.
Just a general question, since this provides me an opportunity. I sent an email maybe a month or so ago about bike patrols for officers. Have we looked into that at all?
Yeah, we actually have bikes that we have, but I cannot put a cop on a bicycle because most of the time I am at minimum staff. And if I have a cop on a bicycle going downtown or going to a specific neighborhood, they can't go across town for emergencies. So probably in the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, the only bike patrolling we have ever done is during the Popcorn Festival.
Okay.
But it is something that is worthwhile if I was about 65 cops.
Gotcha.
52.
Okay. Questions from committee on this one?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
How many cops are we talking about as far as
We're thinking 4 right now.
be able to hire? So, and our 25% match, how much would that be, do you know?
I started actually looking at the numbers today. I'm not sure off the top of my head. We're going to get into it more. It's not due until the end of July, but I can send you an email if you want with that information.
Yes, please.
We are applying for the waiver though, so I'm hoping 0 for us.
What's the chances on that waiver?
Yeah, how many of the stipulations do we actually qualify for?
So this one is just a form, and I actually haven't looked at it yet. It's within the actual application.
Okay.
It's different in that regard than
Gotcha.
the safer one. I'm sure we meet.
Several of them? Yeah.
There's 2 different sources of funding. This one comes from Department of Justice, where the safer grant for firefighters comes from FEMA. So
Okay.
they have different guidelines, different rules.
Yep.
Correct.
Easy math, the new officer pay and benefits is usually about $100,000. So 4 of them would be 400, 25% match fee.
Thank you. Easy math, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, I've got a first and a second. Clerk, could you please take roll?
We have motions?
I thought I did before I took, did I not?
No, that was the last one. I'll make the motion to
I'll
approve.
second.
Clear, I could have made something up, but anybody listening to the audio might call me on it.
You got Naomi.
Oh, yep.
Naomi Quick, 365 Silver Street. My concern is that after the 3 years funding, is it 65%, will it go up like the safer?
That's
No.
the 3 years, every year is the 25%, and then if we get the waiver, it's 0. And then a 4th year, we do have to keep all the costs.
Okay.
Or 1 year, it's the retention period.
Okay, that's my concern. Because as I was going through the plan to the state, it has our expenses flat until 2029 and our revenue relatively flat. Year 4, are we going to be able to afford this? And then what happens if we can't afford to keep them for that whole year? Will we owe the money?
We've been in this boat before. And what we did was we wrote a letter saying we can't afford it, and the federal government said, no problem. Now, year 4 will have new administrations, new rules, who knows, but that is what has happened in the past. The federal government, I don't believe, has an interest in coming and taking.
Right.
So what we did in the past was just explain to the Department of Justice, we're under whatever, we can't do this, and they waived that retention requirement for us.
Okay, can't
previously.
squeeze blood from a stone, basically. Okay, all right, that was just my concern that in year 4 that now.
My concern as well.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions or comments from the citizens? Seeing none, apologize, we do have a first and a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
And that was to approve, right?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, moving on to item number 6, Building Department Professional Services. Clerk, could you please read?
Ordinance requesting additional appropriations to the Commercial Building Code Department for the year ending December 31st, 2024. 26.
26, yes. This comes to us from the Office of Budget Management. This is an additional appropriation for the building department. The additional piece of paper that you have in front of you goes along with this. This is the current breakdown of the building department. You can see there the original appropriation, any revenue generated, minus any expenses, and then the breakdown there at the bottom. So this appropriation is seeking an additional $10,000 pending our approval. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, pretty much summed it up. With us having a 5th Monday, I was trying to get ahead of some of this stuff and be prepared for it.
So, I do have a question here.
Sure.
We've actually taken in $76,961, and we're wanting to appropriate up to $69,000. Is that correct? I mean,
Yes, it's correct. We
That's
brought
totals.
in 76.
totals, okay.
Yeah, and then so far we've appropriated, what, 59,000?
59,014.
14.
Yep.
Pending the 10,000, making it 69.
Okay, good. I would make a motion that we send this on to council with a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
All right, and final item of business tonight, item number 7, SCMR bond fund. Clerk, could you please read?
Ordinance requesting additional appropriations to the SCMR fund in the below listed line item for the year ending December 31st, 2026.
Yeah, so this is just the normal kind of monthly standing item for bonds regarding work done in the city. There's a $500 excavation bond here, and then looks like a $2,400 payment. Any questions from council?
None from me?
None.
I'll make a motion, we send this to council with a recommendation to approve.
I'll second.
Clerk, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Rollins?
Yes?
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
All right, that brings us to matters not on the agenda. Are there any matters regarding finance that need to come before this committee? Seeing and hearing none, we are adjourned.
Good meeting.
Bang that guy.
Live meeting.